There we go. What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Jackrub here, back with Billy Goat, like usual. And Angel is sitting over here reading. She's not going to be saying anything. We're talking about something she doesn't care about. She's not going to be talking. But she's here. All right, well, tonight we were going to be doing our review from Backlash, and we were actually there in the arena, so we can talk about that. We were going to be talking about that tonight, but news broke today. It takes precedence. So we're going to go into that. So if you haven't heard by now, I don't know how, but if you haven't heard, the wrestler, the ECW legend, Sabu, passed away today.
EC
At
Dub,
the age of 60. I don't, is Terry Bunk, I believe is what his real name was?
No. Terry Funk's a completely different person.
No. Bunk. B-R-U-N-K, I believe was what his real name was.
I'm going to look that up here. Let's see. Sabu.
I might have mispronounced it because I'm Jack.
Sabu. Terrence Michael Brunk. Yeah.
Okay, or Terry. For short. But yes, technically I was right. Technically.
You're right, though. 60 years old. Passed
60
away.
years old. I don't think they've mentioned cause of death yet.
No.
But with him, it could have been anything at this point. Heart attack. It could really have been anything. That guy was.
We'll get into some of the stuff that happened to him throughout his career as we.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about speculate how he actually died because I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah, we don't worry about that. He's passed away. That's all we need to know.
I'm just letting you know that they haven't said his cause of death yet. But yeah, he was. They call him ECW legend, and he was called that for a reason. I would almost call him a deathmatch guy. Some of the crazy shit he did.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and share this story now. Sabu and Terry Funk had a barbed wire match for the ECW Championship. And during the match, early into it, they both went into the barbed wire. So, Sabu had a 10-inch cut down his bicep. 10-inch cut. It cut his open his bicep 10 inches. All right. So to give you an idea, I mean, that's a lot. So anyways, he gets off the barbed wire. They're like, do you want to call the match off? He duct tapes his arm to seal the bicep temporarily, finishes the match, wins the ECW championship, has to have over 100 stitches in order to close that bicep. Now, whether you like that extreme wrestling or not, regardless, I think he earned a lot of people's respect by even just continuing the match with having to have 100 stitches. He taped it shut. Duct tape does fix everything, but still, he taped it shut and finished the match.
I know the deathmatch style. We call it deathmatch nowadays. But that style was not that prevalent back in the ECW era. No, nobody was doing that shit.
You had the idiot backyard.
Backyarders,
a lot of that was influenced though by this. Like ECW, if you talk about the names of ECW, I think Sabu, RVD, Taz, Dreamer. And then you could add the Sandman in there too.
Don't forget Mick Foley.
Foley, sure, but as far as like your main five, like especially when you got later in, but Sabu, he did, like you said, a lot of hardcore matches, a lot of crazy stuff. I remember he did a spot that I really liked where he would jump off the ropes and land on somebody that was on the floor, like laying on a table, and he would like climb and jump over. And I think they did a tag team match for no, hold on. I'm getting my matches mixed up. Anyways, Sabu, he teamed with RVD at one point. He wrestled a lot of great wrestlers. By the time we got to see him on WWE TV, his body had already been beat up. He had that incident. He had a fan stab him at some point, I do believe, when he was in the crowd.
I remember hearing about that.
Like, you think, okay, we didn't have concussion protocol like we do now.
No.
So if you weren't wrestling, you weren't getting paid. So a lot of guys like Sabu that were old school, they had really rough injuries and kept going. So Sabu
Oh
was one
yeah.
of those. So it's a lot of wrestlers. Jack can tell you this too. A lot of wrestlers under the age of 40 died. Like there was like over 100 of them in a short period. So then they cracked down on steroid stuff. But anyways, Sabu is from an era of you took some painkillers, you walked it off, and you went out to the ring because
Oh,
you
and
loved
don't
it.
forget the alcohol to soothe the pain after you're
Oh
done.
yeah, the cocaine out,
Don't forget
whatever
that.
you're doing. Now I'm not saying Sabu did any of that stuff, but what he was
No,
willing
I
to
think it's well
do.
documented that he did.
Okay. What he was
At
willing to
least
do
alcohol, at
though
least.
for wrestling,
Yeah.
he was willing to sacrifice his body. And once again, this was pre-concussion protocol. This was we didn't
I was
have the
saying,
awareness. We didn't
he
have
was crazy.
he was.
He
He
was
was.
insane. Like
Yeah, what do they
some of the
call him?
stuff he
They
used to
called
do.
him they call him what? Suicidal, genocidal, homicidal. Like they gave him all these names. Like I
Yeah, I
remember
can't remember all of them either. But yeah, he didn't have a long run in WWE itself.
because he came in whenever they rebranded. They did the whole ECW being the third brand.
Oh yeah, he came in. What was it? I believe it was what ECW One Night Stand. I believe it was the first ECW One Night Stand. He came in and
Yes.
faced Cena. I think it was Cena. He's
I'm
looking
actually
this up.
looking up his top matches.
Okay.
Uh, what are being suggested as like his top matches?
Oh yeah. I mean, so I will look up I will check myself, make sure I'm right. But I believe he came in when they did the first ECW One Night Stand and wrestled. I believe it was Cena. I know he wrestled Cena, but I just don't know.
I'm looking up ECW One Night Stand. That was in 2006.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh no, wait, no, that was the second one. I want the first one,
Yeah.
2005, because I have that one
Well,
on DVD.
apparently before ECW started, he was in WWF for a short while too. Before ECW, did not know about that. That's
Oh
cool.
yeah, yeah. Sabu defeated Rhino at what the first One Night Stand.
Okay, okay, he faced Rhino. Okay,
He
another
had Robbie
ECW
and
guy.
Dan in his corner because RVD had an injury, so he couldn't compete. It was a very short match. It was only 6 minutes. But at this point in his career, Sabu would have been beat up. I mean, that man, and he could still go. He had just wrestled not that long ago.
Yeah.
Somebody said he had, but I'm looking up Sabu's greatest matches, and obviously when you're talking about anybody's like best
Oh,
matches,
and he
it's
did wrestle
going to
for TNA for
be
a short while as well in
okay.
2002, 2004. I think he also came in when they were doing the EV2 stuff. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so the first ECW One Night Stand, whenever that was, I believe that
2005,
was 06. He
05,
faced Rey Mysterio for the World Heavyweight title.
06.
Yeah,
That's the second one then.
yeah. And then, okay, he did face John Cena at Vengeance Day that year. Okay, that
Okay.
makes. Okay, so see, I did remember him facing Cena. I just didn't remember where at the time.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. It says here, almost 5-star match: Sabu versus the Sandman, ECW House Party, 1998. They're saying that this was one that never got like a actual star rating, which because it was a different kind of match, but they had a feud going with Sabu and Sandman, and
Okay,
so this was like one of their better matches. Oh, damn. The match, it says here, this is a Stairway to Hell ladder match with a coil of barbed wire hanging above the ring. Damn.
okay, yeah. Okay, so he was involved with the EV2 stuff in TNA about 2011, 2012 when they did that stuff.
I'm looking up Sabu's greatest rivals. Let's see here. We're just doing Taz. They're
Taz.
saying Taz, RVD, and Mick Foley.
I could agree with that.
Well, you got to think the styles would have meshed because Sabu did the high flying stuff, and it did say here that he won the ECW World Tag Team Championship with RVD twice.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But they were great rivals and opponents. Foley, he didn't wrestle Foley that much, as said, but the brawling versus the high flying worked. And then Taz, when Taz was in his prime, he could go technically with Sabu, those two, because Taz did this. He was the suplex machine. So him and Sabu, the high flying with like the suplexes and stuff went really well together. I remember Sabu being in some rumbles as like a representative ECW. I remember him, like you said, he had matches in WWE, but it would have been more probably house shows and then ECW. I'm trying to think, was ECW Tuesday nights?
Yes, ECW was Tuesday nights.
Because you had like Big Daddy V, Sabu, Sandman was in for a little bit. There were some that came, maybe, wait. Yeah, there were some guys that came in for the Balls Mahoney. There were some that ECW originals, but he wasn't around. He was around like Punk when they brought Punk in to ECW because Heyman took him. But yeah, Sabu got to wrestle a lot of good people. And I think he doesn't get appreciated because of his style, because like you said, that hardcore deathmatch style wasn't really as
it wasn't
accepted.
prevalent like it is nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
GCW that does it pretty predominantly a lot. You've got CZW that does it a lot. AEW does it quite a bit themselves.
Our condolences go to the family and friends of Sabu. Yeah, it's always tough.
Like RVD, Taz,
right.
All them.
It's always tough, but the thing is, his legacy will live on because fans like us and other people who were really into ECW, they are going to keep his memory alive. That's one thing about wrestling is you hear about people that have been gone 20, 30 years later because they had such a big impact on the industry. And Sabu was one of those game changers because he was doing the hardcore stuff before it was really fully appreciated. Unless you were in that initial group and you were at those first shows, you wouldn't have appreciated what he did until years later. But the guy could actually work. He could actually wrestle.
Yeah. Now here's a good question. Do you think, as long as there's no issues between him and Triple H and Stephanie, he should go in the Hall of Fame?
No question. I'm surprised they haven't done like a ECW class, to be honest with you. Like Jerry Lynn would be one.
I think the reason he's not in the Hall, I think there's some issue between him and Triple H at this point. I don't know what it could be, but I do know one time Stephanie put up a picture of Triple H, talking about Triple H, being gushy, wifey, and he put gross on it in a tweet. So I'm like, there might be an issue there.
Yeah, but generally after a wrestler passes,
but let's be honest. Let's be honest. Triple H is not Vince. I could still see him putting him in. Like, I don't know if the door's completely shut on China nowadays.
Triple H was asked that in a post-conference interview, and he said she's in with DX, but she will one day go in on her own. It's a matter of timing. That's what he said.
Yeah, so he's open to it.
Yeah, Sabu, if he just said gross, people have done much worse things and gotten to the Hall of Fame. Look at Ultimate Warrior. I mean, he did change.
Oh, yeah.
But Sabu, I wouldn't say is like on a list of like, let's never talk about him. Let's never, he hasn't done anything that bad.
I'm pretty sure something's going to be said Monday night about him.
Yeah, the high flying, though, that he did, if you took away the hardcore, he could still go.
Oh, yeah, he could go. I mean, yeah. All right, well, we're going to let this go because we've been talking about Sabu enough. R.I.P. Condolences to his family and friends.
And
we will keep you guys tomorrow night for Backlash talk, even though we're going to look exactly the same because we're recording it right after this. Peace.